Today, we're mounting up for another look at a fascinating piece of military history, the enduring role of motorcycles in modern warfare.
Right.
We previously explored their early days, and now we're, digging into specific examples from Sweden, Japan, and Italy.
Mm-hmm.
We'll also examine their broader use during the Cold War and by today's Special Operations Forces. Our mission is to understand why these two-wheeled vehicles have remained such a relevant tool despite the incredible technological leaps in military hardware.
It really makes you think about what core needs persist in military operations, doesn't it?
Right.
Well, advanced technology gets a lot of attention. Sometimes the simplest solutions, refined over time, remain the most effective for certain tasks.
Exactly. And to get us rolling, we're going to look at three nations with distinct approaches. Sweden, a country known for its neutrality.
Yeah.
Japan, which saw significant motorcycle use in wartime that evolved dramatically. And Italy, with its own interesting story of military motorcycle design and application.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with Sweden. Sweden's approach is a compelling example of how a nation's specific geopolitical situation shapes its military needs. Their neutrality didn't mean a lack of preparedness, and motorcycles were definitely part of their strategy.
Right. Our sources highlight the Monarch Blue Arrow, which was used from the 1940s into the 1950s. This was a 250cc two-stroke engine that design makes it lighter and more agile, which was, perfect for military police and border patrol.
Okay, light and nimble.
But what's particularly telling is that it was designed to handle those harsh Swedish winters, even coming with studded tires. You have to imagine the challenges of patrolling icy terrain on a regular motorcycle.
Wow. That detail about the studded tires really underscores how military equipment needs to be adapted to the specific environments
Absolutely.
in which it will be used. It wasn't just about having a vehicle. It was about having a vehicle that could function effectively in demanding conditions. What does that tell us about Sweden's priorities at the time?
Well, it suggests a real focus on maintaining sovereignty and security, even in the face of severe weather, right? Then, as we move into the Cold War, we see Husqvarna military models taking over, particularly the Husqvarna 250A.
Okay, Husqvarna.
This is another 250cc two-stroke, but this time a proper dirt bike built for serious off-road work. The Swedish Home Guard and Rapid Response units were the main users.
So more rugged.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. The rugged frame was specifically designed to handle snow and mud. The thinking was that in the event of a Soviet invasion, these bikes would be crucial for fast reconnaissance across that difficult terrain. Why dirt bikes, specifically?
The choice of dirt bikes points to the strategic importance of mobility across challenging landscapes, particularly in a defensive scenario. They prioritize speed and the ability to navigate rough terrain to gather intelligence quickly. It raises the question, how did this emphasis on off-road capabilities shape their training and tactical doctrines?
That's a great point. And that need for nimble off-road capability seems to have endured. Even today, the Swedish Armed Forces still use Husqvarna and KTM dirt bikes for reconnaissance and special operations.
Still using them.
Especially in those Arctic and heavily forested regions. It's like that fundamental need for mobility in tough environments hasn't been replaced by more advanced technology.
It really reinforces the idea that for certain tasks, like scouting and rapid movement across varied terrain, the simplicity and agility of a motorcycle offer advantages that larger, more complex vehicles can't always match.
Now let's shift our focus to Japan. Their history with military motorcycles presents a really interesting contrast, going from very significant use in World War II to a more specialized role in modern times. What factors do you think contributed to that shift?
Well, several factors likely played a role. Japan's post-war demilitarization and the subsequent focus on a more defensive military posture certainly influenced their equipment choices.
Okay, that makes sense.
Additionally, the rise of other technologies and changes in strategic priorities would have reshaped their needs over time.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But going back to World War II, the Japanese Imperial Army really relied on motorcycles for a variety of roles, especially in the vast and diverse Pacific theater.
Mm-hmm.
One of the iconic bikes was the Rikuo Type 97, which our sources describe as essentially a Japanese-built clone of a Harley-Davidson. It had a pretty substantial 1200cc V-twin engine.
A Harley clone. Interesting.
Yeah, the backstory here is fascinating. It was built under license from Harley-Davidson before the relationship with the U.S. broke down.
Ah, okay.
They even used them with sidecars fitted with machine guns, much like the German BMWs we talked about in our previous deep dive. These were deployed across China, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific Islands, primarily for scouting and those quick small unit attacks. What does it tell us that they based their design on an existing American motorcycle?
That highlights how nations often adapt and build upon established technologies to meet their own military requirements, especially when speed and reliability are critical. The sidecar with the machine gun effectively created a highly mobile light fire support platform. How effective do you think these would have been in the diverse terrains of the Pacific?
You can imagine the challenges, right? Jungles, mountains. But then there was also the Krugergang Type 95, a 750cc shaft-driven bike specifically designed for extreme jungle and mountain conditions.
Shaft-driven, okay.
This one was often used by paratroopers and special forces for those rapid landings and hit-and-run missions in dense jungle terrain in places like the Philippines, Burma, and China. The fact that it was shaft-driven, what advantage would that have offered in such harsh environments?
Well, a shaft drive is more protected from mud, dust, and debris compared to a chain drive, making it more reliable and requiring less maintenance in those challenging conditions. It speaks to the specific operational needs they were addressing with that design.
So a real focus on robustness there. But post-World War II, as you mentioned, things changed. While Japan's self-defense forces still use motorcycles, the focus has become more specialized.
Right.
We're seeing Honda XR and Kawasaki KLX models being used by special forces and for reconnaissance. Interestingly, there's also an emerging trend towards electric motorcycles for urban defense roles. Why electric now?
The shift towards electric motorcycles in urban environments likely reflects a growing emphasis on stealth and reduced noise signatures for certain operations. They also offer advantages in terms of lower maintenance and potentially lower operating costs.
That silent operation could be a significant tactical advantage in a crowded urban setting.
Definitely.
Now let's turn our attention to Italy, whose military motorcycle story also has a fascinating arc from World War II through the Cold War and into modern times. What were the defining characteristics of Italian military motorcycle use in WWII?
Italy's approach in World War II was quite broad, actually, utilizing motorcycles for a wide range of tasks, from crucial communication as dispatch riders to reconnaissance and even transporting light infantry.
The Moto Guzzi Alce, used between 1939 and 1945, is a prime example. It was a 500cc single-cylinder bike designed for rough terrain and long-distance travel.
The Alce. Classic.
It saw heavy use in North Africa and on the Eastern Front by both Italian and German troops. And just like the Rikuo we discussed, these were often equipped with sidecars carrying Beretta M30 machine guns for some light fire support. That single-cylinder design, what were the trade-offs there compared to a multi-cylinder engine?
Well, single-cylinder engines are generally simpler, more robust, and often provide good torque at lower speeds, which would be beneficial for navigating rough terrain and carrying loads.
Right.
The trade-off might be in terms of top-end speed and smoothness compared to a multi-cylinder engine, generally speaking.
So durability and grunt over outright speed.
Got it.
Then we have the Benelli 500 M36, a faster 500cc motorcycle with an overhead cam engine, specifically designed for reconnaissance.
Ooh, overhead cam. Faster.
This was a favorite of the Italian Bersaglieri troops, those elite infantry known for their rapid assaults. They were deployed in Albania, Greece, and the Soviet Union. That overhead cam design typically indicates higher performance, right?
Yes, exactly. An overhead cam design generally allows for higher engine speeds and thus increased power output, making it suitable for the Bersaglieri's need for speed in their forward scouting missions.
So a focus on speed and agility for those elite units. Makes sense. Post-World War II, Italy modernized its military motorcycle fleet. We saw Moto Guzzi Nuovo Falcone models and later Aprilia and Ducati bikes being used for reconnaissance.
Modernization.
And in modern times, Italian special forces are utilizing KTM and BMW dirt bikes for operations in both desert and urban environments, showing a clear continuation of that need for adaptable mobility. What does the adoption of brands like KTM and BMW tell us about modern requirements?
The choice of these high-performance off-road brands suggests a continued emphasis on both ruggedness and advanced handling capabilities for special operations in diverse and demanding terrains. They need the best, really.
So we've looked at these three distinct national approaches, each shaped by their own history and strategic needs. But the story of military motorcycles doesn't end with these examples. The Cold War era really highlights their continued importance in a world that wasn't always engaged in large-scale direct conflict. What roles did motorcycles play in that period of tension?
During the Cold War, motorcycles often filled crucial roles in border security, patrol, and even covert operations. Their relatively low cost and ease of maintenance made them a practical choice for many tasks along those tense dividing lines.
Think about the Soviet Union, for example. They used Ural and Dnepro motorcycles extensively for military patrols along the Iron Curtain.
The Urals, yeah. Iconic.
These weren't just basic bikes. They often had sidecars and mounted machine guns, providing a quick response capability to any perceived NATO threats. That sidecar with a machine gun, it's a recurring theme, isn't it?
Indeed. It transformed a simple motorcycle into a light mobile fire platform, offering a rapid response option for border security forces. It's really a testament to the adaptability of the platform.
And then you had East Germany, using MZ ES250 and Simpson AW0425 models for border security and military police, specifically for surveillance along the Berlin Wall.
Right, along the wall.
It's a stark image, these relatively simple two-wheeled vehicles playing a role in enforcing that very visible symbol of division. What advantages would a motorcycle have over, say, a Jeep in that kind of urban patrol environment?
Well, motorcycles would offer greater maneuverability in tight urban spaces and potentially a lower profile for surveillance. They'd also likely be more fuel efficient for constant patrolling.
Good point. Even the United States and NATO experimented with lightweight dirt bikes, early Yamaha DT series, and Honda XL models for special forces. And during the Vietnam War, the North Vietnamese and Viet Cong famously used small, lightweight Minsks to transport weapons and supplies along the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Ah, the Minsks, yes.
Their small size and relatively quiet engines aiding in stealthy movement through the dense jungle. It's fascinating how different sides in a conflict can utilize the same basic technology for their own unique purposes.
Absolutely. The Minsk's small size and simplicity made it ideal for navigating narrow jungle trails and for logistical support in a really challenging environment. Its lower cost and ease of repair would also have been significant factors for those forces.
Which brings us to the modern era and the continued and perhaps even evolving use of motorcycles by special forces and in off-road warfare. Despite all the high-tech advancements, there are still some things a motorcycle can do that other vehicles simply can't. What are some of those key advantages in today's military context?
The core advantages, they really remain. Rapid mobility, a lower logistical footprint in terms of fuel and maintenance compared to larger vehicles, and, crucially, the ability to access terrain that is impassable for four-wheeled vehicles.
The U.S. military, for instance, has utilized the Kawasaki KLR650 and the Christini AWD450 for reconnaissance and rapid deployment missions.
KLR650, a workhorse.
That all-wheel drive Christini is a particularly interesting development. How does that technology enhance a military motorcycle's capabilities?
Oh, all-wheel drive significantly improves traction and control in very loose or slippery conditions, like mud or sand. It expands the range of terrain a motorcycle can effectively traverse. This can be crucial for special operations in unpredictable environments.
Makes sense. And the UK's SAS operatives have been known to use Honda XR series bikes for their operations in desert environments. Again, that combination of speed and off-road capability seems to be essential. What makes these particular models so well suited for desert operations?
Bikes like the Honda XR are known for their reliability, relatively lightweight, and good suspension, all of which are critical for handling the demanding conditions of desert travel, including soft sand and uneven terrain. They just work.
We're even seeing the development of hybrid electric motorcycles, like the SilentHawk and Zero MMX in the U.S. The near-silent operation is a really significant feature here for covert missions. Can you elaborate on the potential impact of near-silent mobility in a military context?
Well, near-silent operation offers a huge tactical advantage for reconnaissance, infiltration, and other covert ops by drastically reducing the risk of detection. This could be particularly valuable in scenarios where, situational awareness is paramount and giving away your position is not an option.
Finally, we can't overlook the use of motorcycles in guerrilla warfare and by insurgent groups. Our sources point to groups like ISIS and the Taliban utilizing dirt bikes for fast attacks in urban and desert environments.
Yeah, unfortunately.
As well as for surveillance and smuggling weapons and supplies. Their accessibility and relative affordability make them a very practical tool for these kinds of operations.
For non-state actors, motorcycles provide a cost-effective and highly mobile platform for a variety of tactical needs, offering speed, maneuverability, and the ability to sometimes blend in with civilian traffic.
This has even led to the development of countermeasures, like drones designed specifically to track motorcycles and anti-motorcycle barriers in counterterrorism efforts. It's almost a low-tech versus high-tech battle playing out.
It really highlights the dynamic nature of conflict, doesn't it? Where even seemingly simple technologies can drive innovation and the development of new countermeasures. It's a constant cycle.
So, as we bring this deep dive to a close, It's clear that the story of motorcycles in military history is far from a footnote. From those early dispatch riders to the advanced electric models we're seeing today, these two-wheel vehicles have demonstrated remarkable adaptability and enduring relevance across a wide spectrum of terrains and operational requirements.
What's truly remarkable is the consistent thread of agility and accessibility that runs through their history. In so many different contexts, across different eras and types of conflict, the motorcycle has offered a unique blend of speed, maneuverability, and practicality.
And that leaves us with a final thought for you. Considering the rapid advancements we're witnessing in drone technology and the increasing emphasis on electric mobility, how might the role of military motorcycles continue to evolve in the years to come? What new and unexpected niches or applications might emerge that we haven't even begun to consider? It's definitely a fascinating area to watch.